The klaxons shrieked, a raw, digital scream that tore through the already thrumming superstructure of the abandoned research laboratory on Kepler 186f. Ember Liu, her face smudged with nutrient paste and grease, swore under her breath, a string of expletives that would make a veteran spacer blush. Her hands, calloused and quick, danced across the holographic interface of the repurposed atmospheric processor. A cascade of failures scrolled across the display, each line a death knell for the dwindling oxygen supply within their makeshift bunker. Status, Ember. The voice of Sergeant Kale, gruff and laced with the exhaustion of 100 lost battles, boomed over the cone. Failing, Sarge. The atmospheric scrubbers are recycling at 10% capacity, and the primary O2 converter just flatlined. The extreme environmental conditions outside are making external repairs a death sentence. And if that wasn't enough, she snarled, slapping the console in frustration, the scavenged power conduit from the Ares is barely holding a charge. We're running on fumes and prayers. Ember, a brilliant chemical engineer, had always thrived on chaos. During the initial colonization attempt of Kepler 186f, before the hostile alien technology reactivated, she'd been the one optimizing bioreactor yields and synthesizing new, resilient compounds for terraforming. Now, her expertise was reduced to jury-rigging life support systems from scrap, breathing life into dead machines. The air itself was growing thick, heavy with the metallic tang of recirculated fear. Just yesterday, while attempting to patch a ruptured coolant line, Ember had stumbled upon something that sent a chill deeper than the freezing winds outside. Buried beneath layers of crystalline dust and petrified alien flora, she found a series of intricate glowing conduits, clearly not human. They pulsed with an erratic, low-frequency hum, resonating with a disturbing familiarity. Her scans, hastily conducted, revealed them to be part of an ancient, vast network dormant for millennia. Now stirring her immediate dilemma: risk venturing deeper into the unstable, booby-trapped lab to understand and potentially disable this reactivating alien tech, or focus all remaining resources on repairing the failing human systems, knowing full well the alien presence was a ticking bomb. The ethical imperative warred with the primal urge to survive. The hum grew louder. The choice ultimately wasn't hers to make. As Ember wrestled with the sputtering atmospheric processor, a seismic tremor rocked the entire facility. Dust rained from the ceiling, and emergency lights flickered, casting long, dancing shadows. The hum of the alien conduits surged, morphing into a rhythmic throb that vibrated through the very floor beneath her feet. "Earthquake," Kale yelled, his voice strained. Or something worse. "What the hell was that, Ember?" "Not an earthquake, Sarge," Ember replied, her voice tight with dawning horror. Her diagnostic readouts were screaming. The alien conduits, previously dormant and localized, were now actively drawing power from the planet's core, their energy signatures expanding rapidly. It's the alien tech. It's activating. And it's not just in this lab. It's spreading like a cancerous growth across the entire planetary grid. We just triggered it. The true magnitude of the problem settled over them like a shroud of toxic gas. This wasn't just a local malfunction. This was a planet-wide reawakening of something vast, ancient, and undeniably hostile. The hostile alien technology wasn't merely a threat. It was a conscious, predatory entity. Its tendrils of energy snaked through the bedrock, interfering with their communications, scrambling their last remaining long-range scanner. They were truly alone now, cut off from any hope of rescue. The limited resources, oxygen, power, food, became critically scarce as the alien network began siphoning ambient energy, leaving their systems starved. Ember, drawing on her deep understanding of molecular structures and energy transfer, began to formulate a plan, unconventional as it was. If this alien tech was drawing power, perhaps it could be overcharged. Her initial thought, a desperate gamble, was to reverse the polarity of their remaining power cells and funnel a massive surge into the conduit she'd discovered. It was crude, chaotic, and utterly human in its audacity. "Sergeant," she barked, "get me everyone with a pulse and a wrench. We're going to give this thing a heart attack." The situation, however, worsened dramatically. A blinding flash erupted from the alien conduit in the lab, followed by a high-pitched whine. Small metallic constructs, previously inert components of the conduit, detached themselves and began to hover, their optical sensors glowing with malevolent intent. They were autonomous, defensive drones, and they were adapting to human energy signatures, targeting their remaining power cells. The primary clock was now ticking on two fronts: the dwindling life support within their bunker, and the accelerating activation of the alien network, which would soon render the planet uninhabitable for anything carbon-based. The drones were just the beginning. The metallic constructs, sleek and unervingly silent, began their assault with chilling precision. They moved with a fluid grace that defied human engineering, their energy beams slicing through their makeshift barricades of salvaged plating. Ember, amidst the chaos, understood their purpose, not just to eliminate them, but to harvest their remaining power for the alien network. Each direct hit on their defenses caused a power drain that flickered the dim emergency lights. They're after our power cells, Ember yelled over the cacophony of incoming fire. She scrambled, ducking behind a stack of empty bioreactor tanks, her mind racing. We need to shield them, or they'll bleed us dry before we can even attempt a surge. Her unlikely allies emerged from the dust and the din. Finn O'Connor, the communications operator, who had lost his family in the initial planetary collapse, was surprisingly adept with a plasma cutter, sealing breaches even as new ones appeared. Zane Mitchell, the ship mechanic, despite his constant complaining, showed an uncanny knack for improvising kinetic barriers from whatever junk was at hand. They were ordinary people pushed to extraordinary limits, embodying the typically human persistence that grated on the highly logical alien constructs. Ember, seeing Zane struggle with a particularly stubborn piece of reinforced plating, abandoned her current task and moved to assist. What are you doing, Zane? Trying to rig a magnetic field. Damn it. These things are built like tanks, he grunted, straining. They're not tanks, Ember corrected, her eyes scanning the construct's movements. They're conductors. Their metallic shells are incredibly efficient at transferring energy. That's how they're drawing power from us. A sudden radical idea sparked in her mind. Finn, can you reroute the comms array's power output? Zane, can you ground that plating to the external power conduit I found? A new revelation struck Ember with the force of a physical blow. As the drones continued their relentless attack, Ember noticed a strange pulsing pattern in the conduits she had discovered. It wasn't just energy, it was information. The alien technology wasn't just a network. It was a consciousness, a vast, complex intelligence that had been dormant. It wasn't hostile in a malicious sense. It was reacting defensively to their presence, seeing them as an invasive organism disrupting its millennia-long slumber. This wasn't a fight against a machine. It was a desperate misunderstanding with a colossal, ancient entity. The stakes suddenly became terrifyingly clear. It wasn't just their survival at risk. It was the potential destruction of an entire, unique consciousness, or, conversely, their complete annihilation by a system merely trying to protect itself. Her personal struggle to survive became intertwined with the universal imperative to find common ground with the incomprehensible. One of the drones, faster and more agile than the others, broke through a weakened point in their defenses. Its optical sensor locking onto Ember, she froze, a primal fear seizing her. But before it could fire, Zane, with a roar, through a large, improvised metallic net, tangling the drone's delicate propulsion system. The drone crashed, sparking furiously. Thought you could take me, tin can, Zane grumbled, kicking it. It was a small victory, a fleeting moment of human defiance against overwhelming odds. But it was enough to buy them precious seconds. Ember's plan, born of desperation and a flash of creative insight, was audacious in its simplicity. If the alien constructs were conductors, designed to transfer energy, then perhaps they could be turned against their own network. Her apparent solution: create a massive, localized electromagnetic pulse, EMP, by overloading the remaining power cells and channeling the surge through the very conduits the alien network was using to power its drones. The idea was to create a feedback loop, effectively short-circuiting a portion of the alien consciousness. It's like giving a computer a massive dose of caffeine and then a cold shower, Ember explained, sweat beading on her forehead as she rewired intricate circuits, her fingers flying with practice speed. The sudden surge, followed by a complete drain, should temporarily scramble its localized processing. It'll be disoriented, off balance. They worked frantically, a symphony of desperate human ingenuity. Finn calibrated the comms array to act as a focusing lens for the EMP, while Zane, with his surprisingly delicate touch, rerouted the lab's primary power conduit into the alien interface Ember had uncovered. The hum from the alien tech intensified, now a high-pitched shriek, signaling its awareness of their desperate maneuver. Just as Ember was about to initiate the final sequence, a massive energy surge ripped through the lab. It wasn't from their own systems. It was a countermeasure from the alien network. The floor buckled, and a section of the ceiling collapsed, burying Zane under a shower of debris. The main power conduit, their lifeline to the EMP, snapped, sparks showering the chaotic scene. "Zane!" Finn cried out, rushing to his fallen comrade. Ember stared at the severed conduit, her heart sinking. Their one chance gone. She was forced to improvise beyond limits. Her gaze swept the wrecked lab, searching for anything it could conduct the massive energy surge they needed. Her eyes landed on the dormant bioreactor tanks, their interiors still lined with a thin film of conductive, genetically engineered algae. It was a long shot, a crazy, mad scientist solution that only a human, perhaps only Ember, would consider. "The bioreactors," she yelled, her voice hoarse. "We can use the residual algae in the bioreactors to conduct the current. It's not perfect, but it's our only shot." The demonstration of human values and characteristics was stark. Zane, bruised and bleeding, managed to crawl out from under the debris. "Algae? Are you serious, Ember?" He groaned, but he was already scrambling to help. Finn, despite his grief and fear, was already helping clear a path. This was the core of humanity, persistence in the face of impossible odds, the chaotic creativity to use whatever was at hand, and the empathetic drive to protect each other, even when it meant risking everything. Ember knew what this meant. To get enough surface area for the algae to conduct the surge, she would have to manually connect the bioreactor tanks, creating a continuous circuit. The energy feedback, if it worked, would be immense, raw, and uncontrolled. She would be standing right in the path of the most volatile part of the EMP. This was a sacrifice. She was putting herself at immense risk, potentially for nothing, but the alternative was a slow, agonizing death for everyone. The tension was palpable, stretching across multiple levels simultaneously. The encroaching alien drones were closer now, their energy beams cutting deeper into their diminishing defenses. The air grew thinner, each breath a conscious effort, and beneath it all, the rising hum of the alien network, a silent countdown to their extinction. Ember's hands trembled, not from fear, but from the raw surge of adrenaline and determination that pumped through her veins. The alien network's countersurge had unleashed its full might. The research lab trembled violently, sections of the ceiling buckling under the immense pressure. The metallic drones, no longer methodically advancing, swarmed with frenzied abandon, their energy beams lashing out, tearing apart what little remained of their improvised defenses. The very ground pulsed with the alien network's raw power, a silent, unseen entity converging all its threats upon them. Ember, her face grimy and streaked with sweat, moved with a desperate urgency, threading makeshift conductors between the large, cylindrical bioreactor tanks. Each connection sparked violently, the residual algae glowing with an eerie, sickly green light as it struggled to contain the raw energy she was channeling. This was the solution, the only human think of moment, using organic, bioengineered material designed for growth and sustenance as a conduit for a destructive energy pulse. It was anathema to the alien network's pristine, logical design, a chaotic, messy, and utterly human response. Finn, despite his fear, held off a wave of drones with a rapidly failing energy shield, the crackle of its disintegration echoing in the confined space. Zane, his arm bleeding, worked with a grim determination, shoring up a collapsing wall, buying Ember precious seconds. Their individual struggles converged into a single, desperate, collective effort. Almost there, Ember yelled, her voice strained over the din, her fingers numb with the cold metal and the vibrating energy. She could feel the static electricity building, a precursor to the cataclysmic discharge. One of the drones, faster and more persistent than the others, reached their last line of defense, its targeting beam locking onto her. There was no time to react. This was a dot in that moment of maximum danger. A desperate thought flashed through Ember's mind. Her flaw: she was a chemical engineer, meticulous, precise, always seeking perfect conditions. But here, in this chaos, her human imperfection, her willingness to embrace the messy, the unconventional, the impossible, was her greatest strength. She didn't need perfect. She needed effective. Just as the drone fired, a blinding flash of light erupted from the connected bioreactor tanks. Ember, instead of flinching, leaned into it. She initiated the surge prematurely, a split second before the drone's beam could connect. The algae, pushed beyond its physical limits, glowed with an incandescent fury and vaporized, creating a massive, localized EMP. The effect was instantaneous and devastating. The alien drones attacking them froze mid-air, their glowing optical sensors dimming to a dull flicker before winking out entirely. The high-pitched shriek of the alien network was replaced by a cacophony of distorted electronic wails, followed by profound, unsettling silence. The very structure of the lab shuddered, then went utterly dark. The emergency lights dying, the resolution, born not of brute force, but of chaotic ingenuity, unfolded in the sudden darkness. The alien network, overloaded and disoriented by the unexpected organic conduit and the raw, uncontained energy, had temporarily shut down its localized processing. It wasn't destroyed, it was confused. Its perfect logical systems had encountered the illogical, the adaptable, the utterly unpredictable human element, and it had glitched. Humanity's defects, its willingness to break rules, to improvise, to embrace chaos, had saved the day. Silence descended, heavy and profound, broken only by the ragged breathing of Ember, Finn, and Zane. The emergency lights were dead, plunged into an inky blackness that felt both terrifying and strangely peaceful. After the cacophony of the alien network and the relentless drone attacks, the sudden quiet was disorienting. Did it? Did it work? Finn whispered, his voice hoarse, a tremor of disbelief in his tone. Ember, her body aching, her ears ringing, felt a strange lightness. She reached for her comm unit, its power indicator a grim blank. But then, a faint, almost imperceptible static crackled through her earpiece. Not the alien hum, but something else, something familiar. She tried again, and this time, a garbled, distant voice, heavily distorted but undeniably human, broke through. This is Vanguard 7. Is anyone out there? Repeat. Vanguard 7 to Kepler-186F. We detected a localized energy signature anomaly. Hope, raw and incandescent, flared in Ember's chest. They were not alone. The localized EMP, the chaotic surge through the bioreactor algae, had not only disrupted the alien network, but in its very unpredictability, had created a unique energy signature, a beacon that cut through the alien interference, reaching the far-off human fleet. The human way, messy and unconventional, had changed the established paradigms of communication in a universe dominated by elegant, precise alien technology. The immediate consequences were profound. The alien network, though not destroyed, was forced to reroute its energy, leaving the immediate vicinity of the research lab clear of its oppressive influence. The atmosphere, slowly but surely, began to stabilize as the ambient energy draw ceased. Rescue was on its way. The recognition of unique human capabilities would ripple through the galaxy. The Vanguard 7 mission, initially a forlorn hope to salvage what they could from the failed colony, now had a new objective: to understand the bizarre, effective, and utterly human methods that had allowed 3 individuals to survive against an ancient, planetary-scale consciousness. They had not defeated it with superior technology or force, but with the sheer, unyielding force of their ingenuity and adaptability. Ember, the quiet chemical engineer, was transformed. She wasn't just a survivor. She was a pioneer, a living testament to humanity's chaotic brilliance. Her actions, her willingness to risk everything on an absurd, algal-powered EMP redefined what was possible. The alien network, an entity of pure logic and efficiency, had been caught off guard by the unpredictable, illogical, tenacious spirit of a single human. The legacy of Ember's desperate gambit would become a cornerstone of future human-alien interactions. It proved that humanity's strength lay not in its technological prowess, which was often outmatched, but in its inherent capacity for improvisation, its stubborn refusal to give up, and its unique brand of chaotic creativity. In a universe of ancient, highly evolved species, humanity's primitiveness, its raw, untamed spirit, was its ultimate weapon. As the first rescue transports touched down, their lights piercing the perpetual gloom of Kepler 186F, Ember looked at Fiend and Zane. They were dirty, exhausted, and scarred, but they were alive. And in their eyes, she saw not just relief, but a flicker of something new. Pride. Pride in what they had done. Pride in what they were. The ember of humanity, often underestimated, had glowed brightest in the deepest dark. It had faced the unimaginable, and through sheer, bloody-minded determination, had carved out a future. What next will humanity face, now that its unique spark has been recognized by the galaxy?